Hi my friends, welcome to today's practice. This is a great class for after a long trip. If you've been spending a lot of time in an uncomfortable position on a plane, in a car, on a train, or any other mode of transportation, if you've been spending a lot of time sitting in an uncomfortable position, we are going to stretch it out together today so that you can feel a little bit better, a little bit more like yourself. So we'll stretch all main areas that tend to get very stiff, very tight after spending a lot of time sitting down. So this could be your go-to stretching routine anytime you have been on a long trip. So let's get started, my friends. In an extended child's pose, big toes are going to come together to touch and knees separate as wide as the mat, getting into the hips here to start. So sitting your hips back onto your heels. And then if you feel very stiff right now and extended child's pose feels like a lot, you can bring your elbows down to the floor to start. Perhaps closing your eyes. And then little by little, this is where I will stay just so that you can hear me well, but little by little you will be extending your arms and perhaps placing your forehead on the ground. So you can make your way there slowly at your own pace, closing your eyes, getting into the body, and beginning to connect to the breath. So sometimes here in extended child's pose, I enjoy shifting my weight left and right a little bit. So, often in yoga classes, we talk about finding stillness. Well, in this class, I do encourage you to wiggle around in the different poses that we'll be in. To wiggle, to shift, to move. Just to bring a little bit of movement, a little bit of blood flow in the different areas of the body. And you don't have to. If stillness feels good, that's great. But do feel free to shift your weight left and right, just to notice how everything's feeling, to release any tension, any stiffness. And begin to deepen the breath here. So maybe all together, take a big inhale through the nose. Inhale it in. And then let that go out the nose or out the mouth. One more big inhale in. And let it go. Good. A few more breaths here. Allow your hips to weigh heavy onto your heels. If your forehead is on the ground, you might enjoy rolling the head left and right, giving your forehead a little massage on the floor. I really enjoy that. Allowing yourself to drop the body onto the floor here to fully release. If your forehead is on the ground with your arms extended, begin to reach a little bit further away from you with your hands, just finding a gentle shoulder stretch here. So walk those hands forward as much as you can, keeping the forehead on the floor, finding length in both sides of the body as you continue to melt the chest towards the ground. And as you continue to ground the hips back onto the heels. And now as you're ready, next inhale, my friends, find your tabletop position. Coming onto hands and knees, we'll find a few cat-cows here. Spread your fingers wide. Wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. On the inhale, arch the lower back, open the chest, perhaps tucking the toes here. Big inhale. And then exhale, round the spine, untuck the toes, push the floor away, drop the head, look in between your thighs. Inhale, arch the lower back, spin the elbow creases towards the front of the room, tuck the toes, look forward. And exhale, round the spine, drop the head. Look in between your thighs and keep going like this. Feel free to make this a little bit more intuitive so you can continue to move in this linear way. It's classic cat-cows. Or you can begin to involve the hips, involve the neck, move in any way that would feel good for you. Bringing some intuitive movement into the spine. And if you're feeling very stiff, very tense, you might want to kind of take it easy here. But if you do have the range of motion, if you're feeling kind of ready for more movement, you might transition from a child's pose into a cobra and back to child's pose. So any intuitive movement here that might feel good to mobilize the spine. And again, this could absolutely be just a linear classic cat-cow from your tabletop position. So if you're feeling super stiff, you've been spending hours and hours sitting down, maybe cobra to child's pose is going to feel way too intense and it's not necessarily recommended. So this is only me providing options for those of you who want them. But otherwise, you're still in your tabletop position, shifting from cow pose to cat pose. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Just feel free to explore. Close your eyes and explore away, involving the hips, involving the neck. One more breath. All right, then coming back to your tabletop position. Thread the needle here. Bring your right hand to the center here on the inhale. Lift the left arm up. Follow your left hand with your gaze. Big inhale. And then exhale, thread the needle. Left arm comes underneath the right arm. Bring your left shoulder to the floor, left ear to the ground. Right hand finds the top right corner of the mat. I like to stay up on the fingertips, elbow pointing up. And then from here, press into the mat to spin the chest up towards the ceiling. And keep your hips nice and centered towards the center. So your hips are going to want to shift over to the right. Make sure you pull them back to the center. And you should be feeling this in the left side of the upper back. Deep, deep breaths here. Feel free to close the eyes. Breathe deeply. All right hand comes back underneath the right shoulder. On the inhale, unrolling immediately the left arm all the way up. Follow the left hand with your gaze. Big inhale. Good, and exhale, set the hands down. Let's find one cat-cow just to reset a little bit. On the inhale, arch the lower back, look forward. And on the exhale, round. All right, back to center. We'll do the same on the other side. So left hand comes into the middle. On the inhale, lift the right arm up. Follow the right hand with your gaze. Big inhale, reach up. Find length, and then exhale, thread the needle. Right arm underneath the left. Right shoulder finds the floor. Right ear on the ground. Left fingertips towards the left top corner of the mat. Elbow pointing up towards the ceiling, and spin the chest actively towards the ceiling, keeping your hips nice and centered towards the middle, so do not allow your hips to shift over to the left. Feel free to close the eyes, take some deep, deep breaths here. You should be feeling this on the right side of the upper back. Good, my friends. Bring the left hand back underneath the left shoulder. On the inhale, unroll it up, right arm up, look at your right hand. And exhale, right hand down. Okay, from here, puppy pose. Hips stay vertical above the knees, so we're not gonna let the hips shift forward or back. They stay nice and vertical above the knees. Take a big step forward with the right hand. Take a big step forward with the left hand. And then allow your chest to mount towards the floor. Again, go to wherever feels safe, right? So if you've been sitting down for hours and hours and you're feeling so incredibly stiff, maybe you take it easy, right? Maybe you don't go to the full extent that you normally can go. We don't want to shock the body here. It's just about bringing a little bit of movement so you can feel a little bit looser. One more inhale. And exhale. Okay. Bring the right hand underneath the right shoulder. Press into the right hand to make your way back to tabletop position. From here, lizard pose. Pick up the right knee. Bring the right foot on the outside of the right hand. Allow yourself to bend the knee here to sink the left hip towards the floor. The left toes are untucked here. I like to stay up on the fingertips. Open the chest, open the heart, shine the heart forward, look forward, and feel free to explore here. So if you'd like to find some movements in the hips. This might be feeling quite intense. So we're stretching the left hip flexors here. So a little bit of anatomy here. Your hip flexors, if you've been sitting, have been in a flexion. So in a position of flexion, which is the position that your right hip is in right now, where you pull the knee towards the chest. And your left hip is in an extension. And so because you've been spending so much time in flexion, the extension might be feeling quite intense. If your fingertips are beginning to feel tired, you can always come up onto the fists. That's an option that I like. And again, either you're staying still or you're finding some movement in the left hip. We won't be here too long. Just breathe deep. And then from here, you can either stay here or this is totally optional. It's only for those who want more, who are ready for more. You can roll onto the outer edge of the right foot, open the right knee out to the side. This is step one. Maybe it allows you to melt your left hip a little bit lower towards the floor. Maybe planting the left hand flat on the floor, pressing the right hand onto the inner right knee to encourage this right knee to open out to the side. Perhaps looking behind your right shoulder. So this might be more than enough for now, but again, I'm providing options for those who want more. Maybe you take a big circle up and back with the right hand. You can stay here, or maybe you bend your left knee, grab a hold of the left foot, and kick the left foot into the right hand. So a bit of a quad stretch here, a stretch for the left thigh. And then perhaps beginning to pull the left foot towards the glutes to really feel that stretch in the left thigh, the left quads. Take a big, big inhale. Exhale, if you were holding onto the foot, let it go really gently. Right hand finds the floor, bringing the right foot flat on the floor. Take a big inhale here. Open the heart. And then exhale, bring the right knee back to your tabletop position. And we'll do this on the other side. So pick up the left knee, bring the left foot on the outside of the left hand. Find your way into this pose here. Settle in. The way I like to think about it is when we enter a pose, we scope it out, right? We take a moment to just scope it out, to notice how the body is responding to it. So we move slowly, we move mindfully, just to notice, how am I doing? Is this feeling safe? Is it not? Is it feeling good? Is it not? Just noticing how the body's responding. Perhaps coming up onto the fist or onto the fingertips if you want to give yourself a little bit more height. Opening the chest, and again, feel free to explore, feel free to move around, to wiggle around in this pose. Closing the eyes and just moving around intuitively here. Always staying with the breath. If you've been traveling, maybe you haven't paid close attention to your breath throughout your whole journey. So now's a good time to reestablish that connection. And then same thing, plant your right hand down, maybe rolling onto the outer edge of the left foot. All of this is optional, so you can absolutely stay in your classic lizard pose. So opening out on the outer left foot, perhaps melting the right hip towards the ground. Maybe you choose to place the left hand onto the inner left knee to encourage it to open further, looking behind your left shoulder, melting the right hip towards the floor. And maybe you want even more and you circle the left arm up and back, reach back, open the chest, and then maybe you bend the right knee, grab a hold of the right foot, kick the right foot into the left hand to find a little bit of activation as you begin to pull the foot towards you. So you can pull the foot towards your glutes and continue to press the foot into the hand, so resisting that movement of pulling the foot, right? You're resisting it, you're pushing away, just to bring a little bit of activation here. Take a big inhale. Exhale, release the foot gently. Bring the left hand back down. Left foot flat on the floor, and then find your way back to tabletop position. All right, tuck your toes. Come and sit back onto the heels, finding a bit of a toe stretch, stretching out the soles of the feet, the fascia in the feet, untucking the pinky toe perhaps if you have a tendency to squish it. We won't be here very long, just stretching out the feet a little bit. Again, feel free to roll onto the left and onto the right side of the foot. This can definitely be intense. If it's feeling intense, that's totally normal. It absolutely is. Maybe closing your eyes, taking some deep, deep breaths. I know it's a lot. Connect to your breath. Let's take one big inhale in. And one big exhale out the mouth. All right, open your eyes, plant your hands. Bring your feet flat on the floor, transitioning to a standing forward fold at the back of the mat. Feel free to separate your feet a little bit wider than hip width if you're feeling like your hamstrings are a little bit stiff. And then either finding your forward fold here, releasing the upper body. Feel free to bend your knees as much as you wish. Or if this is feeling super intense, if you want a little bit less, you can always bring your elbows onto your thighs to start. So allowing the upper body to release, but keeping your elbows onto your thighs to make it a little bit more accessible, a little bit less intense. Or whenever you do feel ready, releasing the upper body completely. And again, you can keep a really generous bend in the knees here. In fact, I really would like you to have contact between your belly and your thighs. So bend your knees as much as you need so that your belly touches your thighs. As you continuously shoot the hips up towards the ceiling, release the head, release the neck, release your arms. Some of you might enjoy catching opposite elbows. And then feel free to make yeses and nos with the head as well. Again, right? Closing your eyes and intuitively wiggling, shifting into this pose. No strict instructions. It really is whatever your body is asking for. And then bend your knees even more. And next inhale, unroll all the way up to standing. Head weighs super heavy. Arms weigh super heavy. Lifting all the way up. The head lifts up very last. And then once you are up on the inhale, lift the arms up. Big stretch. And exhale, release the arms down. Okay, we'll find a bit of a side stretch here. On the inhale, lift the arms up. And then on the exhale, release the right hand down. Place the palm of the right hand onto the right leg. Now take an inhale, reach up with the left arm, find length. And then on the exhale, slide the right hand down the right leg, finding a side stretch. Bump your hips to the left, reach towards the right with the left arm. Right, so you're actively bumping your hips to the left, sliding the right hand down the right leg, reaching towards the right with the left arm. Keep the chest nice and open. Big inhale in. Big exhale out. Inhale, come back up to center. Reach the right arm up. Release the left hand down, palm of the left hand onto the left leg. Begin to bump your hips to the right as you slide the left hand down and reach towards the left with the right arm. Actively reach with the right hand. So do not bend the right elbow. You're really reaching towards the left. Good. Next inhale, come back up. Left arm up. You can interlace your fingers, press the palms of the hands up. Big inhale. And exhale, release your arms. Good. Come and interlace your hands behind you. Palms of the hands are going to stay together. On the inhale, straighten your arms. Open the chest. Press the knuckles of the palms, the knuckles of the hands down towards the floor. Big inhale. And exhale, fold forward. Bending the knees as much as you need, releasing the head, allowing the hands to travel up and over the head. Release the head. We're here for 3 deep breaths. If the hands haven't moved from the upper back, that's okay. Big inhale in. And then exhale slowly with a lot of control. Let your hands go. Bring your hands back onto the floor. Then from here, heel toe, as your feet as wide as the mat. Bring your heels in. And then bend your knees, sit all the way down into your Malasana Yogi Squat. Feel free to keep your heels lifted. If that feels better, feel free to wiggle into it. Keep the spine nice and long. Scoping it out here, right? Noticing how we're doing. I like to wiggle my way into poses sometimes, and then maybe eventually finding stillness. Elbows are going to press the knees out. Knees are going to press the elbows back in. Bring your fists together. Keep the spine nice and long. And then from here, flossing the hands up and down. And you might notice different sensations in the inner thighs as you lift your hands up and down. Just a few times like this. Continue to breathe. Getting into the hips again, and feel free still to shift your weights left and right. If you notice yourself collapsing on the inner edges of the feet, press the outer edges of the feet onto the ground as well. Continuously finding length through the upper body, the spine. Take a big inhale in. And then exhale, sit onto your bum and extend your legs forward. You'll find a nice hamstring stretch, Janu Sirsasana, head to knee pose. Bring the right foot on the inside of the left thigh. You're either flexing or pointing the foot, and here, total freedom to either bend the knee or keep the leg straight if you want to explore that, or find a halfway position. That might be my case. So depending on how you're feeling, right? Again, if you've been spending a lot of time sitting, you're going to want a generous bend in the knee perhaps. So just notice how you're doing and what's calling your name. This is an intuitive practice. All right, finding length in the upper body. We're not going to reach the arms up, just pressing the hands into the floor, reaching the crown of the head up. Take a big inhale in, reach up, reach up, reach up. And then on the exhale, beginning to walk the hands forward. It doesn't need to be crazy active. If there's a bit of rounding in the spine, it's totally okay. Going to the point that feels good for you. Maybe the elbows find the ground, maybe not. And then you can release the head, release the neck, maybe closing your eyes. Finding your breath.
Reconnecting to your body here. Sometimes when we're traveling, we can be very disconnected, like I was saying before, disconnected from the breath, but also from the body, where we put ourselves into crazy positions that are really not comfortable and we might not even notice it. So here we are reestablishing this connection with the body, this mindfulness of our physical sensations. We're here for 3 more deep breaths, maybe finding a little bit more depth in the stretch if you wish. Big inhale in. And big exhale out. Inhale, lift the upper body back up. Cool. And then we'll just switch sides. So extend the right leg, bring the left foot in. You're either flexing the foot or pointing the foot. I've recently discovered that for me, flexing the foot can feel a little bit irritating. So I've been pointing my foot in these hamstring stretches. So feel free to explore, play around, try different things. Hands on the ground. On the inhale, find length. Reach the crown of that head up, 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 up. Take a big inhale, reach up. Lifting out of the pelvis here. Reach up, lift up. And then on the exhale, beginning to walk the hands forward to the extent that feels good for you. So you can either bend your knee and go further, or maybe you have this desire to keep your legs straight and simply go as far as you'd like to go, as far as feels good. So again, if there's a bit of rounding in the back, that's totally fine by me. And feel free to release the head, close the eyes, get into your breath. Focusing especially on the exhale here. Maybe even if your knee is a little bit bent, maybe even slide your hand under your leg, give your hamstrings a little bit of physical touch, physical love. A bit of self-massage. Three more deep breaths here. Take a big inhale in. A big exhale. And inhale, unroll the spine. Cool. Place both feet on the floor as wide as the mat. Hands are going to come behind you here, fingers pointing back. Puff your chest out, so really elongating the spine. Puff the chest out, and then from here, drop your knees over to the right. Keep the upper body centered, and then back up. And then over to the left. And then back up. And over to the right. Back up. Over to the left. See if you can explore your full range of motion here. So if the top knee can touch the ground, let yourself go there. Back up. And a few more times here at your own pace. Good, my friends. One more. Cool, and then bring the knees back up. Elbows to the floor. Find your way down onto your back. All right, here we are. So once you're on your back, the right ankle is going to cross over the left ankle. Flex the right foot. Encourage the right knee to open towards the front of the room. So this is the first thing I want you to do, is to really press the right knee towards the front of the room. You can either stay here, you might already be feeling this, or maybe you begin to bring the left knee towards your chest, interlacing your hands behind the left thigh. The left foot can stay relaxed towards the ground. You should be feeling this in the outer right hip. And you're either staying here, this might be feeling like a lot already, or if you want a little bit more, again, I'm just providing options. You can interlace your hands over the left shin instead of behind the thigh. And here as well, I like to shift left and right a little bit. Keep the right foot nice and flexed, pulling the toes towards the knee. All right, and then let that go. Bring the left foot flat on the floor. You're gonna cross your right leg completely over the left. Arms come into a cactus shape. Bump your hips to the right. Drop your knees to the left. Turn your head over to the right side. Keep the right shoulder blade nice and flat onto the floor. A nice twist here. Feel free to close the eyes. Breathing into the belly, breathing into the stomach area here. Inflating the belly on every inhale. And letting it fall on the exhale. Good. On the inhale, come back up to center. Hips back to center and cross the legs. We'll find the same on the other side. So cross the left ankle over the right knee, flex the left foot, Encourage the left knee to open out towards the front of the room. One side might be feeling really different from the other. That's my case here. So this side is way tighter than the other one. And then from here, you're either staying right here or pulling the right knee towards you, interlacing your hands behind the right thigh. Continue to flex the left foot. Feel it out, scope it out. And then this is where I stay on this side, but if you wish to interlace your hands over the shin, that's a possibility as well. You might as well take a few breaths right where you are, and then eventually with the breath, you might be able to go a little bit deeper. We'll see how it goes. But feel free to shift left and right. Feel free to close your eyes. Make sure your lower back is still grounded on the floor. So if you find that you've lifted the lower back off the ground, you got to pick the option that's before the one that you're on right now. So see here with my breath, I am actually able to go a little bit deeper than I thought. So it depends on the day, depends on how you're feeling. Just scope things out. And you should be feeling this in the outer left hip. Take a big inhale in. On the exhale, release the right foot down, cross the left leg over, open your arms in a cactus shape, and then bump your hips to the left. Drop your knees to the right, looking over to the left. Keep the left shoulder blade flat on the floor. Few belly breaths here. Good. Next inhale, bring the knees back up to center, hips back to center, uncross the legs, and we'll end the class in reclined butterfly pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet together, allowing the knees to open out wide. See how this feels. If it's too much, you can always elongate your legs. If you're in a reclined butterfly, I'll invite you to bring your hands onto your thighs here, so onto your hip creases actually. So kind of index and thumb onto the hip creases, and press as if you're trying to press your legs away from you. And you might be feeling a nice sensation of decompression in the lower back. So really press, feel it out. Notice what makes most sense for you and pressing the legs away from you. Press, 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 press. And then let that go. And you can bring your hands wherever feels best for you. So either by your sides, palms face up, or hands on your belly, or hands on the inner thighs. This is what I might opt for today. So hands on the inner thighs, just gently encouraging the knees to open out, closing the eyes. Let's take a big inhale through the nose together. Big inhale in. And let it out. And one more deep inhale. Let it go. Coming back to your normal breath. Notice if there's an unnecessary resistance, an unnecessary contraction in the body. Gently allowing yourself to soften, to release. And then this is where I leave you. So I will leave you here, my friends, to stay in reclined butterfly for as long as feels good for you. Take your rest, or feel free to close your practice if you feel like this is enough for today. Either way, I hope that you feel good. I hope that you feel a little bit looser than you did when you started the class. Thank you for joining me on the mat today, and I'll see you again here very, very soon.